Are you ready to go? Would you need to say more nice things?
Also, with Meg in the middle, you can see the Board Game Co. sign a lot more.
Oh, that's a good choice. Good choice. All right. Meg, you want to start us off?
Sure. What number are we doing?
Well, we got to do an intro first.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were like, my 40. It's like, no, we got to
Sure,
we gotta say we're here.
40 to 31.
Okay. How do I start your videos? Any way I want?
Any way you want. Any way you wanna,
that's the way you need it. Any way you wanna.
See, I don't have to go high.
Hello, gamers. Welcome back to Board Game Co. And we are continuing our top 100 today with
40 through 31.
Ooh.
with Alex Radcliffe
From Board Game Co.
and
40 through 31.
Devon
Norris. From Devon Talks Board Game Co.
And you
and
are.
I'm Meg.
Yeah,
That's it.
We'll be diving into our 40.
We're done, right?
We're done.
Yeah.
So, dear
This
Lord.
happened way quicker than the other video. The other two.
This place, we can get the next few done
You
pretty
know,
quickly.
that was so much fun. Let's do it one more time.
Okay.
With that said, we're diving into 40 through 31 over here. As usual, you can check out the rest of the videos. They're all in the playlist over here. You can check them all out.
Those are all warm-ups.
No, the last one was very good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Last one was
first-
solid.
The first 5, I feel, were warm-ups. Amazing games, but still warm-ups. And then I said...
But pretty hilarious.
I think they were
Tune
funny.
in.
I think they were funny.
Tune in.
Lots of inside jokes. You won't get half this video if you haven't watched the previous 6. So
It's homework.
homework.
We're giving you guys
Yeah.
homework. Go watch. Apparently, I think it was this series, the 100 through 91 that we started. Someone was like, watching this at 1.5 or 2 times speed is insane.
we are.
Because you're like one of the only people that I'm like, I never want to turn Alex on a higher speed than normal.
I can turn Alex on a higher speed than normal.
Please don't. Please don't. What's your 40? Let's just stop that. Move. What's your 40?
My 40 is a game called Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions is a fantasy flight game. It's an amazing LCG. An LCG is a living card game. An LCG is a living card game gives you these packs that are going to be released on a constant basis. Now, Marvel Champions, the card game,
When he tries to talk really fast, he does this thing where he just keeps repeating like certain mechanics and things like that.
Marvel
and he
Champions.
just tries
Marvel
to keep it
Champions
up.
is a game. Marvel Champions is a game. Are you with me? Are you with me?
She's not
Cool,
wrong.
I just did that really quickly.
Do you actually think that him saying cool, cool, cool is just a result of when he would talk a lot and he's just repeating stuff?
No, it's a result of him watching too much Community.
That's right. Thank you very much. Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games
Cool.
is a game that the first time I played it, I actually wasn't sure if I was buying into the hype quite as much when I first played it. People were loving it. It was on everyone's like top list of like 2019 to 2020. I think honestly 2019 I want to say. And I played it. I was like, okay, it's okay, but it's not amazing. I liked Arkham Horror, the card game, a lot. I was like, do I want Marvel Champions more? Not really. It's not as good. And I played it more, and I was like, I like it more. And I played it more, and I like it more. And it's currently my number 40 game of all time. I love the game. I love the experience. I love the IP connection. I mean, Marvel Champions is almost as good as Marvel Reflections or Marvel Evolutions.
You know what it does?
What does it do?
It gives you a CCG feel.
It does give you a CCG feel.
It does give you a CCG
I do
feel.
agree with
like
that.
Sushi Go Party.
Yeah.
Just like Sushi Go Party.
But I think a little differently than the traditional CCG feel. I think the reason
Just
it
a draw.
doesn't is it's cooperative in nature, which isn't what I'm used to in a
That's fair.
CCG.
That's like solidly good. Yeah.
It's solidly good. So
You gotta play some Two-Headed Giant.
That's what I'm talking about. Marvel Champions, the IP connection. I love the IP. I like the way many characters, not all, do feel like they nicely tie in their mechanics to some of the specifics around the characters. Again, not all, but some of them feel really fun. Playing as Doctor Strange, playing as Iron Man, playing as Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. They all have different connection points as far as how well they work in the game system using their specific cards, and then you can build your deck around them as you take on a variety of schemes and villains and all these things you're going through it. I love it. It's one of the few games that I just buy those LCG packs every month. Like every 2 months I'll pop on, buy like 4 months I'll pop on, buy the last 4 that I missed. I'm not playing the new stuff, but I want to own it all because I play enough of it that I just want to have all of it.
So one thing that I'm curious about, because I've heard a couple different answers in terms of preferences, is like, do you prefer this? I've heard 3 and 4 don't.
Okay.
But I've heard a lot of people split between either they prefer it solo or they prefer it at 2.
So I'm gonna give a very specific answer there. First of all, 3 and 4, no, just straight up no. I've not played it at 4. I have played it at 3. No, just no. As far as 1 versus 2, I prefer it at 2 with the right people. But otherwise, I think
Has he played it with you?
No.
I think
I guess
We
we're
only
not the
play
right-
solo games
I
together.
guess we're not the right people.
I think my general opinion by default would be I prefer it solo. If you're asking without qualifications, I'd say I prefer it solo. But with specific people who are into it and are following and doing it right, then as a two-player experience, the teaming up gives you more flexibility, more fun things to do. I enjoy that puzzle a little bit more, but it really has to be with somebody who's kind of mentally on the same wavelength. It's like, there's many games where I wouldn't say
Is there a different setup for 1 and 2 in terms of like...
The general systems are the same for the most part, but
you would play more heroes.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like if you're solo, you're not like two-handing the same amount that you would with a two-player.
You could if you want to, but that's not my go-to. If I'm playing it solo, I'm going to play a single character.
Oh,
most
really?
of the time.
Who'd you go to?
Oh.
I want to say the one I've really been enjoying a lot recently is Doctor Strange.
I was gonna say Doctor Strange is
Nice.
really fun.
Nice. We should play.
I've played it with Nelson from Nelson All Over, and he loves LCGs, and he kind of like walked me through a lot of it. So I think it is really good to play it two-player to introduce it to new players. So it depends what you're looking for.
It seems like the kind of game that I would adore.
It's really good. My thing is that it's very much ultimately it's a numbers game.
You've never played it?
We should play it. The entire
Too bad
thing.
the three of us can't play it together.
Do you have it?
No.
The entire thing.
I
is
have Arkham Horror. Joe
the
sent
same.
me that because he was like, "You don't have either of them." I'm like, "I don't have either of them," and he's like, "I'm gonna send you Arkham Horror."
The nice thing, the thing about the game is it's very much a numbers game, which means to me the entire thing comes down to like, okay, I have +3, +2. You're gonna add this modifier. It's gonna be +2. That villain currently has a -1 defense. Okay, you're doing the whole numbers, which means playing with the wrong people can just feel like you're playing two separate games. Which I'd rather play it solo at that point. Playing with the right people, you can be on the same mental wavelength, and you're just vibing.
So if Unsettled goes well for us,
We should try
Then
Marvel
we'll
we should
straight
try Marvel
vibe.
Champions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to know.
I'm fine with that.
Good to know.
Anyways.
What's your 40?
My number 40 is a little LCG by Fantasy Flight Games. Lord of the Rings, the card game.
Nice.
I thought it was funny when you said that. So there's like the trifecta of card games that they've made. There's also Arkham Horror, but there is Lord of the Rings, the card game. Now this one I have greatly enjoyed. I still have never beat it. This is one that I've played Marvel Champions both solo and with friends. I've played Arkham only with friends. And the Lord of the Rings LCG I got to solo by myself. It was like my first little solo project that I got this year. And I have tried it multiple times.
Because of the comment you made yesterday about the coffee, I'm going to be a little bit annoying and say, you're going to solo it by yourself?
Yeah. Okay. Me and all the voices in my head and all my sexy animals.
The voices. Dude, I talk out loud when I play solo games. Do you do that?
I talk out loud all the time.
Do you when you do solo, do you talk out loud?
Depends on this game.
I feel like we
I do
are more
it just
similar.
like living my life. We talk
This
about the
past
things
week,
I
guys,
edit. Watching myself editing, talking to myself in between videos is hilarious.
We just mentioned like Calico in the last video, and like this past week I was like sitting there playing Calico. I was like, I need this tile, nope. I need that tile, nope. So like it's not as common, but I will talk out loud.
It's even I don't actually do it out loud, but Amber at times will like see me smirky. I'll be like washing dishes or something, and she'll be like, "Are you having a conversation in your head?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And she's like, "You're smirking," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm having a fake conversation in my head with someone that I don't want to have in person."
I'll do that singing thing I do. I'm just like, I need this tile. I just going into whatever like that. I like singing. I'm not good at it. I just like it.
Lord of the Rings, the card game, is very difficult. And I will say something else that I thought was very fun is shout out to Rodney from Watch It Played. I learned how to play it from him on a video that it was 10 years old. And that's how I learned, and it still holds up. Nice. And then I've watched him playing it. I'm getting some tips. I'm going to try again.
That's the second time this week that Rodney Smith has gotten a shout out for that video in this studio.
That's fair. He gave it. He gave it in the video that me and him did together.
You guys did a video without me?
Top 10 most disappointing games.
Aww.
To be fair, I said it was good. I said it is good.
Yeah.
I walked into it. The very short clip notes is I said I walked into it kind of thinking that when I played it 10 years ago, I wasn't ready for it then. And like since then, I've really loved Arkham Horror and I've loved Marvel Champions, and I expected to walk in and love it. And I was like, nope, it's not. It's still not a game that I love. I think it's good. I think it's great. I did comment on the difficulty as well. So it's not a bad game. It's just disappointing. I was thinking I would like it as much as I like these other new LCGs, and I don't.
It is interesting those times where, because we are now like so enmeshed in content and playing games, and we had like the field of what we've experienced is widened or broadened so much that it is interesting sometimes when you go back and you play something and it's been a long time since you've played it, and you're like, we almost like discredit our past selves, and we're like, oh, they just didn't know. They weren't like in the hobby enough. And it's like, no, like your instincts for yourself are usually pretty good. Like, you know, like Mansions of Madness. Like I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to give this another shot. I was like, I didn't give it enough of a chance. And then it was worse. I was like, never mind. I'm like, past Devon was okay.
For me, it was an improvement, but marginally. It was like I was like I see more potential in this game for other people.
Yeah. For other people. No, so it is interesting to me. It was like, yeah, like you almost were like, my past self didn't know what I was thinking, and I'm gonna do better this time, and so that's interesting.
Point is, shout out to Ronnie Smith.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a man crush on him after PAX Unplugged. Like, good for you, Ronnie.
The thing I'll say too, with Marvel Champions versus the others, I feel like Arkham does the best job of it, but the Lord of the Rings one does have a lot of lore and a lot of story for you to read, that I, as like a Lord of the Rings fan, appreciate how much is actually in it, that is stories that you wouldn't typically know if you're just a fan of the movies or something like that. So there is a lot of like story and content.
Do they pull like a lot from the Silmarillion?
I don't know if it's, I've read the Silmarillion and I can't remember enough to space it out, but I know there's more than just Lord of the Rings.
Are we boring you?
No, I'm just...
I yawned so much last video. Yawned like 4 times while you guys were talking.
I'm just realizing we're only 2/3 of the way through the first pick.
Yep. All right, my number 40 is Watergate. I love me some Watergate. Also, I have never been more frustrated by playing someone else's copy of a game than playing your Watergate game and getting your geek up bits. And I was like, now I want to upgrade my Watergate game.
They're so nice. Some game upgrades aren't as necessary or required. Watergate's much nicer with those bits.
Yeah. How old is Watergate?
Watergate 2017, 2018.
I've heard about it like a bunch of times recently.
It might be 2018.
Don't worry.
I didn't hear about it until this year.
Are you done talking about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Watergate. It's a 2-player game. You play as the editors of the Washington Post, and then
or Nixon.
And so it's an asymmetric game. Nixon is trying to cover up and obfuscate evidence, and the editors are trying to put it together on a map and pin certain collaborators or conspirators to Nixon. And it's a push and pull game, kind of tug of war. It is probably the best historically based tug of war game that I can think of. There's probably not one that is even remotely close to it. I think there was one that came out a long time ago that was like very mediocre that I think did okay. I think it was like Twilight Struggle or something. But Watergate's better.
I talked about Watergate, didn't I?
Yeah, maybe. I think you did. I think it was already on there.
Making sure I didn't miss another one. Watergate's awesome. It's great.
Yep. So that's my 40.
What's your 40? What's your 39?
My 39 is... When did this game come out? I just want to see if
I'm right. My 39 is City of Spies. City of Spies.
Is this the Estoril one, 1942? I desperately want to play this one.
City of Spies is so good.
2019, I hate you.
2019?
Yeah.
Nice. It's from, I wasn't sure if it was the end of 2018, but yeah. City of Spies is from Meebo Games, and they don't have a lot of games under their belt. They have a few. They actually have Viral. Have you played Viral at all?
No.
The one that was very recent. Yeah. It's the very like vibrant red and green art on white background.
Yes.
Yeah. I have not played it. I know it.
Viral, well, let's talk about Watergate. Not Watergate. City of Spies. City of Spies is... the entire game is this bluffing game where you're trying to mess with other players because it's effectively worker placement, but the workers are these spies that you draft that have different characteristics. And you place these spies down in different areas to get different bonuses, which are effectively more spies, because the main reason you're trying to play the game is you're trying to collect sets of spies for the goals. Every spy is going to be worth some points, but spies have a number of points on them as well. Discarded spies are worth a point, and then you have the goals you're going for, which are worth points as well. So you're trying to get spies. That's what it comes down to. But which spies you get are important. How you get them are important. Trying to vie for that 4-point spy, or that spy that has great abilities which will help you throughout the course of the game. Those are all important things, and it all comes down to knowing the abilities in the spies, but you're placing most of them face down. So I'll place on a spy here, and Devon's going to be like, is he trying to go for that based on the numbers, or is he trying to screw with me in the adjacent location? What's he trying to do? The entire game comes down to trying to think and outthink the opponents, and sometimes you have the opportunity to peek at spies, which gives you just enough information to still wonder what the person's going to do.
Sounds right up my alley.
It's a mind game to the nth degree.
It's only 2-player?
No. It's a best with 3. Good with 4, best with 3, decent with 2. But it's just a mind game. January, let's do it. I'd play that.
So many games.
Film it. Add to the list of anything. It's so ridiculously good. I love City of Spies. One of my favorite games. Well, I'm not gonna say that every single time. It's a great game. It's my top 38 games, 39 games of all time. Watergate.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
City of Spies.
That was amazing.
City of Spies. Oh. Go ahead, Meg.
What's up?
39 for me is Battlestar Galactica, the board game. So I have played this, I think, So I recently got a copy of this, but I haven't actually played it in person yet. I played it on TTS, and I had some friends, some viewers on the channel, and I met up with them. And TTS is nice because it actually has what hardly anyone else has access to, which is the expansions, and you can very quickly add them and change up the setup. I just played the base game. I didn't play the expansions. So there's one, I don't know if it's the Pegasus or not, but it's the one expansion that I want to add that switches up some of the dormant event cards in terms of populating the outside enemy ships of the Cylons. But I had the opportunity to playtest Unfathomable, which is when Fantasy Flight lost
the reskin.
Yeah, so Fantasy Flight lost the Battlestar Galactica license, or it went away or whatever, and they reskinned the game with Unfathomable, and I had the chance to playtest that, and I did not care for it. I thought that there were a lot of problems with it. I was not one of our group who had played Battlestar Galactica. A couple of my cousin and my brother had, but even still, I found mechanically some issues in it that I didn't care for in terms of how it played, and it felt like it didn't have as much agency over some of the enemy movement and other stuff going on. It felt like it needed more work. And then...
But that was during playtesting?
It was, and I thought it was earlier in playtesting than it was, because we gave a substantial amount of feedback, and then I think it was closer to when it was there than actually I anticipated. And so I didn't really care for Unfathomable, but I really did have a better time with Battlestar Galactica. I do think it still has its weaknesses. I think it can play quite long, quite long, but...
And the Battlestar one still has a hidden trader mechanic?
Yes. It's still got potential Cylons in there. So, like, if you're familiar with Unfathomable, if you've played it or you know more about it, then you're going to be very familiar with Battlestar Galactica. I think also I just prefer the IP. I'm very washed out on a lot of Lovecraftian horror just because it is. I didn't realize this, but someone kind of clarified that it is one of the few IPs that is public domain. So it's very quickly retread again and again and again. But I like Battlestar Galactica.
This year.
Huh?
Just like Mickey Mouse this year.
No way.
I think they're supposed
No way is Disney letting
I know that, but supposedly.
Okay.
Can't you just re-up it or something?
You're not supposed to be able to. They've been playing games with it for a long time.
But so Battlestar Galactica, the board game, I enjoy it, and I really want to play again and check out some of the expansions to kind of find. I think if you find a fine-tuned version of which expansions and which pieces of those expansions to add, you can come up with a really cool game.
Yeah, I have Unfathomable and I played it, but we didn't play it correctly, so we had an okay time, but we didn't do the monster movement right, that they weren't really moving. We missed how that worked.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Totally.
I've heard that one's better, though.
Yeah.
January 1st, 2024 is supposedly when Mickey Mouse enters the public domain.
Wow.
Supposedly.
That's over a year from now.
I know.
That's crazy.
Close.
It's barely a year.
I was close.
Yeah.
Depends when this video goes up.
That's fair.
No, it's going up before. Anyways, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I play Battlestar Galactica. I think it's amazing. I do think it runs too long for the experience it gives. Yeah. Also, the very last time I played it was a game where the very first turn in a 4-hour-long game, somebody pulled a card that said you could look at another player's roll, looked at another player across the table, and saw he was a Cylon. And the game continued for 4 hours with the player hating the game.
With the player who was revealed?
Yeah. It became
a
shouting match between the two of them of each one, you're lying, no, you're lying. But it's still, it's
that's not good.
Yeah. And that's a 4-hour-long game.
It's a bad.
Yeah. So that can happen.
Well, so that's the difficulty with that game, is that it's not actually only about the who's who and whether you're good or bad. You still, as the good people, you still have to make it and survive.
Worse than that, as the good people, you have to not be too good. Because if you're too good, halfway through the game, one of you becomes a Cylon.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing I hate about it. The other thing I hate about it is the fact that as a good person, the first 2 hours of a 4-hour-long experience, I have to make sure not to be too good at what I'm doing, or if I become bad, we're too well set for success.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that I feel like the first 2 hours I'm wasting my time.
Yeah. That's fair.
Just like the first 5 videos in this series, because those were meh.
Yikes.
Anyways.
39, Meg.
My number 39 is a lovely little game called Everdell.
Oh, Everdell's good.
Yes. Has that hit anyone's list yet?
I don't know if it's even on my list.
No? Has it hit your list yet?
It has not hit my list. Yeah.
I really enjoy Everdell. It's very cute. I have quite a few of the expansions that I really like. The Spirecrest expansion, it adds like extra animals for you to ride on. My only complaint, because I'm sure you guys maybe know Everdell, I'm not going to go crazy into it, but my only complaint is how static the market board can be. I feel like that doesn't change as often as it could, that's something that I've heard some house rules since I've made that complaint, and I haven't gotten to implement them yet, but I think I'm going to start doing something to wipe that board, because I normally play games at 2-player. I think when you're playing 4 players, it's a bit different. There are a lot more cards coming out. If you're playing at 2 players, it just doesn't change enough for you to, like, you know, you got the wife and you're waiting for the husband, and where is he? You can't find him. Where'd he go?
Harvester and Gatherer. Yeah.
But I agree with you. The market board is a little static. They have a lot of house rules around that. A lot of people I'm surprised they haven't addressed it in any expansion yet, because it is one of the most common complaints.
Actually, I did hear. So I don't have all the expansions. I heard maybe Belfair does.
Like I said, I'm happy they addressed it in the expansions.
Yeah,
exactly.
I do believe so. Whatever, like anyone furiously commenting below, I do think that Belfair fixes that.
I think what is interesting is I even without Belfair, I have actually been playing Everdell through the app a lot, and I've been playing it almost primarily at 2. But with some 3 and 4 player games, and because you're able to move through games so much faster on the digital app, especially at 2 player, you can burn through a game really quickly. I have not found that the lack of that not making it through as much of the deck is really as burdensome. Like I think the more games I've played, the more I'm like, but there's so many divergent paths that you could do that aren't like the intuitive ones. Like, when you're first playing the game for the first 3 times, you're like, oh, I really want to find the Evertree so I can get that free, occupation of any character. Or you're like, man, I really want to get the husband and the wife to turn like 2 points into 7 points. And like, there are like classically expected like combos that you may want to go for, but like the more I've played, the more I've discovered some like really, really fun ones that I wouldn't have, and sometimes it's because of the limitation of what you draw forces me to try something else out.
I feel like often too, like the ones that trigger locations, like the Innkeeper, that's the one that I'm thinking of now, but the ones how you can acquire them for free because it's a certain location, that just like never happens for me.
I think for me, even more so than the deck, what really to me drives a game is actually what the advanced forest locations are.
Yeah.
Because the basic ones are always there, but those 4 advanced locations, those 3 or 4 ones that they have out there depending on the player count, and the amount of spaces that there are depending on the player count. Because if it's just 2 player, you can only go to those spots once. Those to me so much more drive, like depending on the types of resources that they might offer up or the actions that they can do. Can really shift.
Yeah,
and
I agree with
that. That's the one that I've found. But I love Everdell. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Beautifully done.
38?
38.
My 38 is a game called Trois, but often looks like Troyes.
I was going to say TROI.
Yes, the one.
Yeah.
But it's pronounced Trois. It's one of the few pronunciations I actually get right in games. It took me forever to get Inish right. But anyways, pronounced Trois. It's Troyes. It's from. I actually don't know who it's from. Something
you
Steel.
said Troyes right after that.
No, I always clarify it because if I say Trois, people are like, "What game is it?"
That's the one that you taught me.
Did I teach
the mandala kind of like moving?
No, that's Trajan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was.
Say, how drunk were you at the board game place?
Which game? Oh, because
you forgot about Calico.
Calico, yeah. But no, Trois it's from. I think it's from. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking the name. But whatever it's from. I know they're based out of Portland though. But anyways,
I thought you were gonna be serious.
It's a great game. The entire game. First of all, it's a Euro game where you're basically trying to work with dice pools, and you're trying to place your workers into these various buildings to gather more dice. But you have to pay for those dice. There's a bit of upkeep to those dice.
Pearl games.
That's not what I would have said. Although they did Gingopolis too, right?
Pearl games through Asmodee.
But anyways, the game itself is about the gathering these dice, using them to defend against the various invaders, using them to get the various resources, to assign them to these cards. And the cards are the core of the game because there's 3 different sections of cards that you're unlocking every round. So round 1 you have 3 cards, and 1 in each section. Round 2 you have 6 cards, 2 in each section. And round 3, what, the Gingopolis one?
Yeah. The Gingopolis, they did Lagrana, Black Angel.
I can do that with some things, but not.
It's almost annoying how much it knows.
Anyways, the game itself is the cards though to me are the variability because the cards there's like a whole bunch of different cards for each level. So every different game you're playing with different puzzles of how to utilize your dice and different combinations because you have these cards that are just constantly changing as far as what they can do. So the core engine is the same every time you play, but how you assign dice, where you want to assign dice, where you want to gather influence in these cards because that will let you use the card. If you don't get the influence, you can't go to the card, obviously. And so you're going through this cycle of trying to figure out how to build out your dice pool, assign your dice pool, and do so as efficiently as possible across the course of the game, which I believe is 4 or 5 rounds depending on player count. I think I'm doing that correctly. But incredible game. Always enjoy playing it. I kind of want a deluxe upgraded version of it because I think it deserves one, but it's a good game. It's a good game.
Ooh. How much is it?
The game itself, I don't know, $40. I don't even know if it's in print right now. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been in and out of print at times.
This is a smaller game, isn't it?
It's a smaller, typical, Istanbul-sized box, or what's a more common game than Istanbul?
A more common
game
than
in that box
Istanbul?
range. What's a box that has this range?
In that box size?
Yeah. Looking around your shelves, looking around your
like
shelves.
Pandemic?
Pandemic. It's my Pandemic style box. The drop thicker. Good choice.
Okay.
How do you know all these things?
Shut up. I hate you so much. My 38 is Caesar, which is Seize Rome in 20 minutes. And I really, really like Caesar a lot. I think that Caesar and then Blitzkrieg.
I was going to say, that was on our list, wasn't it? We were supposed to maybe play it?
Yes, we do actually have them outside.
Let's do it!
So Caesar and Blitzkrieg are just really, really clever. Kind of going back to the conversation I had last video about air, land, and sea. Design choices that I think are so clever and create like a lot of fun tension in a 2-player experience. In Blitzkrieg and Caesar both, you're hiding the tokens that you're using, but then also you're drawing from a bag, and so you have some element of hidden information that you're trying to keep from your opponent, some element of you don't know what you're about to pull, and so you're trying to figure out what's the best strategy for yourself, and then also ways in both games where your opponents can reduce the amount of tokens you either have in your hand to where you have fewer. It's like it's such a fun game, and it's such a brutal little back and forth. And in Blitzkrieg, you're doing it into theaters of war, into different areas in World War II.
You're bundling the two together?
Huh? No, I was just contrasting. And then in Caesar, though, the thing that I think is so clever about Caesar is that in opposition to Blitzkrieg, it's that the tokens are in 2 separate areas. So like when you place something down in Blitzkrieg, you're affecting one zone. But when you're playing it in Caesar, it's actually like a map of Rome, and when you place it down, it's affecting this province and this province. And so it's also it's a strategy, but there's also a spatial puzzle there where you're determining, you're like, hey, if I place this down, I can lock off this province and win the strength battle here, but I can also set myself up here. Or you can be like, you know what, I don't want to play here because if I play here, it'll be their turn and they'll be able to have the last move at this province. And so it's a whole nother dimension of choices that didn't exist in the previous title. And Caesar's really special. I like both of the titles a lot, but Caesar's definitely up there.
Nice.
Yeah, that spatial puzzle. Like when I play Blitzkrieg, I never really think about. I'm never surprised by a zone being done.
Yeah.
When I play Caesar, sometimes I'm like, oh, we were doing this zone, then this zone, this zone. We just happened to complete like a third zone. Like I love the puzzle and the extra level that adds.
Yep. 38 is Caesar for me.
Meg, I believe we're on you for 38.
My number 38 is another small box game, very old. I've had it for forever. Oathsworn. I'm just kidding. I was teasing. Are you mad how low it is? I was afraid to honestly say it. I thought Devon was gonna implode. So
I mean, to be fair, we did start off our top 100 conversation with you saying Kabuto Sumo is way better than Crokinole. So that hurt my heart to begin with. So I just feel like you're just sticking in daggers and twisting them to my soul.
To be fair, I think when I made this list, we had only played Oathsworn once. And since then, we played a second time. Mm-hmm. So I've only played it twice.
Yeah.
So I think that's why even looking at this list, I mean, that's the hard part about us trying to film all these is that we're filming them weeks apart and I'm playing games in between.
Yeah.
That I think I probably would rank it a bit higher, especially as we go through the list. But I really enjoyed it. Really fun game. I enjoyed both the narrative side of it, going around the town, making different choices, and really having choices have consequences, and then also the gameplay of the skirmishing fighting part. the cooldown system of the cards. I enjoyed
Battle flow.
Yeah. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. So.
Oh, sorry.
Just makes random noise.
That's really all.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. I feel like I ruined the flow there.
Yeah, you ruined
the battle flow. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just wasn't like crazy about it yet.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
One's pretty solid. So I'll jump to my 37 and explain my little moment there, which is my 37 jumps for me. The way I do this on Pub Meeple when I rank the games, I rank them by rankings. So I ranked all my 5s, I ranked all my 4.5s.
I ranked them by rankings.
Well, I ordered them within my score. So I ordered within my 4.5s, I ordered within my 5s, and at 37 we are jumping into my 5s. And I spent the past, so now we're in my 5. These are my 37 5 out of 5s that I have.
Wow.
The Trois was the last 4.5. Everything there was a 4.5. There were a few 4s at the tail end. I had like 7 or 8 4s, a whole bunch of 4.5s, and now we're in my 5s. And we have one small problem, which is on my sheet, I had 38 5s.
You forgot another one?
Oh my gosh.
Was I figured it out.
Oh.
In between starting this list,
You
I
upgraded
have
one.
added one to the 5.
That was a 4.5.
That wasn't on my list at all.
Oh.
What was it? Shout it out.
I will shout it out. Should I shout it out now?
Yeah.
Fine. I'll shout it out now. In fact, it is the highest one at the moment. Actually, that's because I think I haven't ordered it. The newest one, which is not my pick at all, Zombicide Undead or Alive.
Okay.
Oh, because I recently, you know me. I don't watch a lot of board game content just at all. But
if Akiva's in it.
No, but I did notice, I can't remember if it was a short or if it was...
A short.
It might have been a short, but you were essentially saying, like, I was ready to let this go because I just assumed I wasn't going to want it over Black Plague and Marvel Zombies.
Yep.
This is one of the
And then you were like,
right?
you were like, it's hard enough that it's pissing me off and I want it to stick around because I want to beat it.
I love it. So this is not about Undead or Alive, but since starting our list, I have definitely put it into the 5 category. It's up there. I love it. We're not going to talk about it. We'll bundle it together with Black Plague when we get there, if we get there. Not on the list. But my number 37, now that we've solved that problem, I can't take something off the list.
Yeah.
But I just added it. It's fine. My number 37 is a 7.
Seventh continent.
Wow, okay.
Call back to your previous video. This time I'm right, though.
When's the last time you've played this?
Right.
The last time I played it, over a year ago.
Oh, man.
But I don't care. I don't remember why. I got it back at one point. I actually got rid of 7th Continent. Not because I don't like 7th Continent, but because I love 7th Citadel. But 7th Citadel's taken long enough to get here. I got back 7th Continent. But 7th Continent...
You sent it to my house, and you still haven't taught it to me.
Well, that's just one added to the
How
list.
dare you
Added to the list.
send us games?
How dare
I'm the worst.
And not...
I'm the worst. But 7th Continent is the best.
They need to be delivered with a tutorial.
Yeah.
The board game code tutorial.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I filmed myself for the last hour.
I would do that, and then that would be like, I don't really watch board game content.
Fair argument.
7th Citadel is a delightful...
No, 7th Continent.
7th Continent is a delightful solo... At least I didn't say Watergate. 7th Continent is a delightful solo experience. Primarily solo. You can play with other players. I like playing it solo. I do not love playing with other players. I think it's situational. I would play it with 2. I would definitely not play with 3, but even at 2, you're kind of reading the same cards, so like there's a lot of overlap of a new card comes out and you're both spending time hovering over it. Not my favorite experience, but it's basically an exploratory game. It's a game which you start off, there's a bunch of different encounters you can go through and there's expansions you can get that will add more stuff, but you start off with like this vague thing. You're trying to hunt down a golden statue in the middle of the island, and you start going on these various quests trying to figure out what's going on around you on this island, an island that is the same island from scenario to scenario, which means as I play scenario 1 versus scenario 2, and each scenario could be like 8 hours long, but as I play each scenario, there's a save system, it breaks up and all that stuff, but as you play a scenario, you might find yourself...
breaks up?
Well, I'm saying that they're all cards. The whole thing
breaks down,
and then it breaks back up when you put it out again. But as you put down these cards, you're starting off in different points of the island. So I might spend time wandering into this section of the island here, and then in a different scenario, I'll end up wandering to the same section. So you'll have this overlap and this learned knowledge of the island around you. But the general idea of it is it's just exploration. It's placing down cards in different areas, trying to maintain your resources to stay alive, finding various items you'll craft in a ton of different ways. The game gives you so many different ways to explore the island. To you're going to create a raft. You're going to create like various weapons. You're going to have hunting different creatures. There's so many different it's a little exploratory choose your own adventure, escape rooms to a small degree, all wrapped into one single puzzle that is one of the most unique and amazing experiences I've ever played. To the point that even though I have 7th Citadel coming, I got 7th Continent back. And I don't even care. It's one of those games that I don't care if I play it, don't play it for another year. It's just good. It's just a good game that deserves to be in my collection. At 37.
Man, yeah, it's one that I actually did it. I've been super interested in 7th Continent for quite a long time. And I did a trade where I thought I was trading for 7th Continent. And the guy was like, hey... he's like, it just doesn't come in the regular box.
Oh,
he's like,
no, you got to...
And so I got the replacement cards for 7th Continent in my trade.
What did you give up for that?
I got something else as well. It wasn't the only thing, but I got a white box with replacement cards for the 2nd edition of 7th Continent.
Oh my gosh.
And it didn't have rules, and it didn't have, and I, all the cards were shrink wrapped and stuff, but I was like, I don't know
so you're
how
saying it's not helpful to get just the cards for the game?
I didn't know how to engage with it. I was like,
So,
That's so weird.
fun fact, it is playable once you get the rules and like a few small placeholder miniatures.
Yeah.
Like just 4 or 5 miniatures even.
yeah. And
But
so it was just one of those situations where I was like, I don't have the rules. I was like, I don't have the regular game box. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't really want to like print off paper rules. And because I would have had to like fold them and like put them in the tiny box. And it was kind of a disappointment. I was like, ugh.
So that's my thing. I think they had a whole thing where they basically, because of card backs, they issued replacements to thousands of people, and it became for a short time a thing where people are selling a playable 7th Continent that's like a $150 game. They're selling a playable 7th Continent as long as you're fine getting the, what's it called? Which I think is not, aside from the fact that it's kind of manipulating the publisher's goodwill, I don't love that. But additionally, it's like to people who don't know what they're getting, that's a great way to burn them on the experience.
Yeah. So it's like I didn't even get to play it, and I was like, ugh. I was like, okay. So I ended up, I think, just trading it or giving it away to someone. But I was just like, oh.
Disappointing another person along the way.
I didn't.
Did you make it clear in the trade?
Yes, I made it very clear. So I was like, but yeah, it's one I've always wanted to try out. So
good callback on the cards.
that was a good one. That was a good one. Okay, so that was your 37?
Yeah.
What's your 37?
My number 37 is Sonora.
I have not played this.
Mm-hmm.
I played it once.
It's a flicking game, which I really enjoy flicking games. I think they're phenomenal. Yeah, I was making a croak.
Oh, I got it.
it. I was ignoring it for my soul.
So yeah, I don't love dexterity games. I don't love the flicking aspect. It's fine. But in Sonora, you're flicking across a square,
What are you
and you're
flicking?
trying to like little wooden things,
What are they thematically?
Discs?
numbered discs. It's not. Hey, if Crokinole also had a Sudoku-style puzzle where you're writing in things that matter for where you're flicking things, I would also be into
while we're
that.
playing
We're gonna
Crokinole,
develop
I
all
can give
this.
you a Sudoku
Sudoku
book
puzzle.
to play while we're playing. It's not that big of a deal. Take Avery's.
So in Sonora, you're flicking in the square, and there are 4 different boxes, and depending on, you have numbers 1 through 5 on your tokens, and depending on where you land, you get that many points to pay into that certain puzzle. And it's a flick and write, so you're using like dry erase markers, you're filling in the different grids for the different boxes, and it's just 4 different really fun, engaging puzzles. There's one where you're just trying to acquire different shapes, there's one where you're filling in different shapes depending on the number that you have, and then there's one that's branching down where you're trying to get points, and then there's one where you're connecting triangles to try to like encompass points. And I just love the puzzle aspect of it. I wouldn't even need the flicking aspect. I understand like it's needed to kind of randomize for people what points go where and which puzzles everyone else is doing, but I think it's just so well done. It's one of my most played games in my collection that it's light enough that you can be talking and have friends over, have a conversation while you're playing it. It's really fun.
I want you to teach me
It's
that one.
it's really
I
good.
want to teach me that one. You talked about this one a lot. You bring it up a lot.
It's very
really good.
very relaxing. Also, just like the art scheme is like very soft pastels.
It's calming.
Yeah, it's very calming, chill game. There is a little bit of like interest in terms of because you're trying to like settle your discs into certain zones, you can intentionally try to knock people's discs into other zones and stuff. And so it's relaxing, but there also is a little bit of like flicking dexterity or skill in terms of like if you're trying to not only get your stuff but manipulate what other people are getting as well. Because there are like some of them is really just pathing, but like I'm thinking of that one particular where you're trying to cross off
The lizards.
the shapes,
in the canyon, yeah.
which if you get it first, you get the higher score. That's the one that like to me is like when you might want to intentionally mess up what someone else is going for. So
and that's the one that's oriented toward the first player. So that kind of gives you an advantage that every round like it changes that is the one to go for.
Yeah. So it has some interesting components to it, and it is kind of like a relatively unique verb and verb. And the dexterity is both like just casual, but also can be a little bit more cutthroat or intentional if you're trying to mess with someone else's. Yeah. So
it's really fun.
Definitely want to check out. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
37 for me is a little game which, when we made this list, I had only played once, and now I have played it twice. 37 for me
Endless Winter.
No.
is Cthulhu Death May Die.
It was such an epic game.
Which would be higher now. Had I not had I made this list now, it would be higher than 37. We had
I had Oathsworn at 38.
We had a fear of the unknown gameplay with the three of us and Akiva that is like genuinely probably one of the absolute highlights of 2022 for me in terms of like gameplays. Like it was so much fun. I had a blast. Like it was such a good time.
I got a dog.
It was so much fun. Like
there were little high fives at the end of the scenario.
There were actual high fives throughout the scenario. I felt I had so much fun maximizing my character, and I don't know if it's new to the Fear of the Unknown versus like the regular seasons. I've backed everything on the new campaign, and I have season 1 and 2, and not all of the extra stuff, but enough of it. Campaign. I got the Unspeakable box on the new campaign as well.
It's one of the few games I went all in on that I've used 5% of the content.
Because for me, the investigators, the way that they play differently is a lot of fun. Like I had a martial arts very movement and dispatch heavy character, and you had like a shooting everything character. But it was so much fun to the point where like Akiva like died early in the game, and he was just as giddy as the rest of us, like watching stuff go on. And then Alex was having so much fun at the end of it. He's like, "I'll kill myself, you guys!" Like it was like,
I saved you guys.
I was like, "I will sacrifice myself so that we can win," and I get the whole thing done. And Devon's like, "I'm pretty sure we could have won without that." I'm like, "I know. I want to feel involved."
Yeah. So it was just such a fun experience, and I feel like that is not emblematic just of the people that were playing, but of the game. And if I had ranked this post that game, it would have been higher. But 37 for me, Cthulhu Death May Die.
It's an awesome game.
I think that was one too where everyone was running their own character really well. That like sometimes with games like that, you can start kind of being like, well, you should be doing this, or you can help like that. And we all just completely ran our own characters, but we're still really invested in each other.
Until the part Devon told me I didn't need to die. Which I knew.
To be fair, we also at the point had Akiva in like the little boy horror voice. I'm helping. I can see you all from past the grave. So, no, it was a really good time. I'll go ahead and snake draft to go from Alex's utmost respect to his absolute disregard for my opinions. And 36 for me is Scrabble.
Above Cthulhu Death May Die.
36 is Scrabble?
36 is Scrabble.
I thought it was higher for you.
I thought you said Scrabble, and I was like, I've never heard of Scrabble.
Scrabble is my favorite type of conglomerate rock. I really enjoy
Marvel Gravel's very good.
Marvel Gravel is upcoming. I cannot wait for Marvel Gravel.
But have you seen Cthulhu Gravel?
Cthulhu Gravel may slip is like sticky. One of the worst things ever when it gets wet. But I said Gravel may slip.
Did you really say Scrabble?
Yeah, yes. Scrabble. Scrabble's my 36. I love Scrabble.
Have you been missing the Scrabble?
I have.
Making the whole series?
Yeah, he's been making digs at me for like 5 videos straight.
Well, okay, I don't remember where you put it or how you did it. You did a top 50 written post at one point.
Scrabble was higher.
And I don't think you necessarily had it in order of ranking. You batched it in categories.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it necessarily indicates ranking, but I think Scrabble happened to be in the lower tiers, like the higher tiers. And so So I thought like you'd be like number 5. So this is actually a pleasant surprise.
Scrabble was 36 for me. I have a very fancy board at the house. I can show it to you. It's on a Lazy Susan, so it rotates, and then it's got the like ridged separations to where like your tiles won't go anywhere. I used to have that as
well. It's like a clear cover over it that makes it ridged.
No. Oh. It's fancy. It's fancy. I'll show it to you. I like my Scrabble board. I'll happily play it tonight with you guys after this. So Scrabble, I just love a lot. I love word games. Like one of my favorite experiences when I was in high school was so like all of us kind of were in school around the same time when like Mini Clip and all of those like flash games were like massively popular. And one of the ones that I remember was a browser game called Text Twist, and it was a game that would give you 6 messed up words. And you could get a lot of points.
I'm having like a recovered memory right now.
You could have a lot of points based off of the words you get, but if you had like a 1.5-minute timer. But the only way to move to the next level was to get the word that was all 6 letters. Mm-hmm. And like I would sit there and it would be like me and my mom and my sister and occasionally my brother, but he didn't like the word game. So it was like me and my mom and my sister would be like sitting there and like they would be over my shoulders and we'd be like trying to do as much words as possible. And I had so much fun with that. So any type of word game I enjoy, and Scrabble's up there for me. That's my 36.
That's good.
Nice. 36 for me is an abstract game that I really enjoy. I believe it's my favorite abstract game on this list. I believe. Maybe not, actually.
Corridor?
No. Corridor I like, but it's not even top 100.
I don't want to talk about Corridor.
We're not going to talk about Corridor.
Is it Czar?
Tack.
Oh, Tack.
I love Tack. As much as I love Czar, as much as I love Corridor, as much as I love a lot of abstract games, Tack to me is one of the best ones for me in my collection. It is simple. It is elegant. You've played. I don't think I've taught it to you.
Why are you destroying this pen?
I didn't mean to. I realized after I destroyed it. We're gonna go fix it
I
right now.
didn't mean to.
I was just clicking it and then it came off. But we'll deal with that when it's not. Oh, I'll just spin it. It's all good. It's fixed now. But
Engineer.
Tack is a simple abstract puzzle that one of the things I love about it is how I can procedurally teach it to you just one step at a time. Like, here's the game, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And I'm like, actually, here's the next step, and you're like, okay, there's more there. And like, actually, here's the third step, and you're like, I like it. I'm like, here's the fourth step, and you're like, whoa. And just like the way these tiles, you're trying to ultimately just connect a chain from one end of the board to the other end of your tiles. Mm-hmm. But you can move tiles. You can move stacks of tiles that you control. So if I move my piece on top of your tile, I now control the stack. You can drop off tiles as you move, and the puzzle of the way these things intertwine, and then the fact you're going to add these, blocking tiles, and then you're going to add capstones, and capstones crush blocking tiles, and you're slowly expanding the size of the board and making it more complicated as you go, while keeping it to be a very, very simple mechanism. It is a beautiful game. It is amazing. It's also from a book. It's like inspired by Patrick Rothfuss.
Patrick Rothfuss, he wrote The Name of the Wind,
yep.
And then he wrote Wise Man's Fear.
Yep.
Or maybe Wise Man's Fear is the first one.
It's in one of those books. They kind
of
reference it.
All I have to say is Patrick Rothfuss finished the freaking trilogy.
Yes.
Holy crap. You finished your last book in 2012. I'm not an author like you. You're amazing. But 10 years, dude.
We're waiting.
You are getting to George R. Martin levels of slowness. And I don't like it.
The idea that you have a game that's kind of just vaguely referenced in an IP that they turned into a game is actually this good blows my mind every single time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a fun little fact. It's like imagine that Chewbacca, Star Wars Han Solo
Space Chess.
The Space Chess. Imagine that became like one of the best games, best in the genre.
Yeah,
that'd be weird.
That would be cool.
It'd be cool.
Yep.
But that's why Tack is cool.
And at the end, you get to rip someone's arms off.
Exactly. That's why.
It's so troublesome.
That's what they say in the movie.
Spectrum of
Devin,
things.
move that sword.
Away. I'm just gonna move it away so you get stabby.
I can do it with the little cheese knife.
What's your 36?
My number 36 is an in-video crossover. It's happening.
Oh, is it on my
she
list?
she glanced a bit my way.
I did not.
She did.
I
She
didn't.
leaned her
Watch
body.
the playback.
Her body
Cthulhu
language.
definitely
It's definitely it's Marvel Champions.
It's Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
But I didn't look away. Yeah, it's Marvel Champions.
You two are so contrary.
No, we're not.
No, I didn't, but you're right. But no, I didn't.
You looked at my list.
I did not look at your list.
You're like, oh, you cheated to know that. Marvel Champions.
Yeah, it's great. I have had a wonderful time playing it. I've never played it solo, which now it does make me want to try.
Did you start off this list with Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have 2 of the LCGs.
Yeah.
In
That's why I was going to tease and say it's an LCG by Fantasy Flight Games, but then he jumped in anyway.
I wonder how high. I know Arkham's up there. I just wonder how high.
Well,
it would be crazy if it was
knows?
on this same list.
Who knows? Yeah, Marvel Champions. We don't have to super talk about it, but I think
we
it's
should play
a really
You and I, the
great
games we play,
card game.
if we like, we should be playing this game.
Yeah, I agree. I play it with mostly Nelson.
Yeah, we have too many games to play.
That's the thing. What we usually do, which kind of stinks, which I think we've talked about, is that we tend to play new games, and maybe even not just newer games, but games neither of us have played that we want to show the other ones something.
We do new games, and we do a lot of campaign games.
Yeah.
But what about like new games?
Between the two of the campaign games and new games, let me play new campaign games.
You and I play a lot of nude games.
Sometimes we play new blue games. I know. I was like, I can't.
Anyways,
I can't with that.
Marvel Champions. What's your 35?
What's your
Since you didn't get a
35,
chance
Meg?
to-
Sure.
Since you didn't talk about Marvel.
My number 35, I'm pretty surprised that I ranked so high. This is one that, like, came in hot for me. When I first got it, I want to say I played it, like, 10 times in the first 2 weeks. Merchants of the Dark Road.
Oh.
I absolutely loved it when I first got it. One of the things I really enjoyed was like the puzzle of figuring out when to pick up what when and being able to fit things into your carriage. I think what ended up cooling me down on the game, which I'm surprised I did rank it so high, but again, with Pub Meeple, I just did would I rather play this or that, and I would rather play it. But the thing that I found was the mechanic of if you're going to the place, other people can join with you. You should always just join. You should always go to get the extra rewards. That I think that piece is a little...
Well, there's a hypothetical aspect that bad things could happen to you on the way. It's a hypothetical.
Yeah.
I agree with
But
you.
as someone joining in, there's no real risk there.
No, I'm saying bad things can happen in the cards. The cards that are drawn could have bad impacts on the die result. The journey cards. Again, I agree with you.
Yeah, but if you join in, don't you get to draft first?
It depends on if you choose the shortcut or the non-shortcut.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Maybe that.
So again, there is the possibility. I still agree with your point.
That's the thing, is getting to draft first as someone just joining in and going.
95% of the time, I agree with you. You should go. It's almost always worth it. But there's like 5% where it's not worth it to go and you get hit. But like it's so rare.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. It was one that I played a ton. And then whenever anyone would come over, I'd be like, can I teach you Merchants of the Dark Road? And then I would get through the very first location and they'd be like, how much longer is it to learn this? But I really had a great time with it.
That's interesting. I feel like that's a mechanic that would actually almost bother me. Like,
Which one?
If I'm doing something in the game, I usually want it to mean that someone else can't do that. So the idea that if I can do something, they can just hop along for the ride and
So
possibly have a better benefit than me.
There's
So
two pieces.
that's
So
the
there's like a
aspect.
journey card, and
That
that's
would-
the one
that
that
would
they
bug
join
me.
in. But then at the end, you get rewards that no one else does. So you get like the extra better rewards for going somewhere, but the interaction card, everyone gets like the
There's a
interaction.
specific aspect of you take a
I'm just
shortcut.
too selfish. I don't want people
There's a specific mechanic in the game where you take a shortcut, and if you take a shortcut, you have to pay twice as many lanterns to do it. It's like I used to pay 3 lanterns or whatever to do that, which are hard to get. Lanterns are hard to get, and one of the first reward you get for taking a shortcut is other people choose the rewards in the card first. So you paid more to do the thing. Now again, the math in the game still pays off because you get a result at the end of it that's better. So you get 2 rewards. It still pays off. But that's the thing that bothered a lot of like reviewers, including myself. It's just it felt so wrong, and they had a whole explanation like, no, you're taking a shortcut, so you're branching new pathways. It's not as road. You get perks along the way. You can find things. They had a whole mechanical explanation that makes sense, but just felt bad as a player.
Yeah.
But I liked the game. I thought the game was very solid. It was beautifully produced. I did have quips about it. Quips and quibbles. I had quibbles, not quips. I had quibbles. Because the quip sounds wrong.
Quips and quibbles.
I had quibbles about the game. But yeah.
What's your 35?
My 35 is 35 is a game we all love. We all love.
Ooh.
What's a game we all love?
There's a lot of them.
What's one specific game we all love? Exactly. Codenames.
Okay.
I think Meg
I didn't wanna be
loves that
wrong.
with me more than
Yes.
you.
Codenames what? What? Oh, what? My 35 is Feast for Odin. 35 is Codenames, which is specifically
It's fun.
Codenames Duet is one of my favorite versions of it, but all versions, that's not true. Codenames, I was say all versions, they have like Marvel and Disney, I don't care about those. Codenames and Codenames Duet and Codenames Pictures, although my order would be Duet, regular, then Pictures from those. But they're fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic in terms of giving you a game you can have fun, you can talk, you can think. It's a party game that's also strategic. It's a game where you can try to be as accomplished as possible, trying to come up with a 7-word clue and have some really cool moments. And it's also a game where you can make fun of your...
7-word clue? Oh, I understand now.
You're like, you can't use 7 words. You're playing it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Using one word,
The
trying
word
to get
7
to
cards.
7.
I want you to pick.
Yeah, a 7-guess clue. And then you can also be made fun of by your teammate for the way you completely screwed up and missed the word tree on the table. I think one time I said bonsai and tree was on the table, or vice versa. Maybe I said tree and bonsai was on the table, and it was not the right card.
Yeah.
I was playing with Meg. I see what you're saying.
There was
now.
one
I see what
time
you're
where
looking at.
There was a
I think
time
you
when
said
Meg was
weather and
trying
there
to
was
get me to
storm.
say pineapple or something, and she goes, fruit. And apple was on there, and I wasn't supposed to pick apple, and she goes, oh, the most common fruit.
To give some context, a lot of the games we've played, when the three of us have played, a lot of it has been over on Twitch with Tim Riel, and some, I don't know your games, but some of these have been the speed sessions where you have
speed
7
so
seconds.
Fun.
So if you
good.
hear us make fun of how badly we screwed up, also understand that some of those mistakes happen when you had 7 seconds to look at
You
25
can't read
words.
the whole board in time.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
fun.
I
like
found
Codenames.
that I'm a clue giver, not a clue taker. I'm much better looking at the
I
board
love
and
how
giving the
you've
clues.
taken like a general like
giver versus receiver.
proverb and like turned it into board games. I'm a clue giver. I'm not a clue taker.
Right though?
You 100% are. I
Yeah.
think like when you and I play, you're better at giving clues. Because
And
like
you're
when
better
when
at-
you're
yeah.
giving clues, we sync up. When I'm giving clues, we
have
don't
no
sync
idea.
up.
Yeah, and then you give me words I don't even know, which isn't fair. I still won't forget
What was that one I gave you?
Maitre D.
Maitre D. Maitre
And
D.
then live in front of everyone in Codenames, I'm like, Tim, what is that? And he's like, I can't
It
really
was
help
a
you.
really good clue. I can't remember what I was trying to connect. I was
it
trying
like-
to connect waiter and like
Host
Table.
or something.
waiter and standing or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was. It was like It was really clever. It's
It
not,
was really
so
clever.
everyone else who knew what it was like, that's a good clue for those
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because also, no, the problem is I had waiter and something else, but also waitress was on the table. And you couldn't get waitress. So that was the problem. It's like, that's how do you connect those two with like a thing? I got it. It was very clever. I'm very
I
clever.
got it.
I'm very
That
clever.
was I love how you're like, I need to further explain my genius.
Because there are times in Codenames where you feel like you really landed a good clue.
Yeah.
This is one of those times. I thought it was a good clue.
That's fair.
And Meg
Yeah.
responded by going, "What is that?" It's very
I
memorable.
was so embarrassed because I'm like, I can't not guess things and I don't know what this means.
Well, my favorite is when you get stuck in Codenames by looking at a word and you get stuck on the meaning of a word. And there's multiple ways that can
Oh
work
my
together.
gosh.
Yeah.
Alex will classically have a word
How does
and then
it become
another
one?
word and then be like if it was like lightning and storm, he would try to find weather and put the two words together and be like, well, I think it's this and I think it's this, so it must be this compound word.
Anyways, my number 35 is Codenames.
My 35
Codenames
is
solo. I like it solo. They're actually working on an app currently to make it like a really solo
Yeah.
campaign.
interesting.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
talk
we
about
found that
that.
out at PAX, yeah. My 35 is, I think, the only one on here that I am bundling, and it is Dice Throne.
That's a good bundle.
Yeah,
That's
I
a good
love
bundle.
Dice Throne. I have everything except for Dice Throne Adventures. I did get Dice Throne Adventures at one point, but I gave it away.
Do you have Santa versus Krampus?
I don't.
So you don't have everything.
Whoa.
I have Season 1 re-rolled. I have Season 2 Battle Chest. I have Marvel Dice Thrones, the Kickstarter. I have all 3 of the big boxes that come with
Prove it.
everything in those boxes.
Do you have the painted
Well,
miniatures?
they're at the house. No, I don't have the painted miniatures. I am going to... You want to play Dice Throne, just me and you?
I believe it's for 2 players, so
I
sure.
think, yeah, it's best at 2.
Yeah.
I'll play Codenames solo.
You
Good.
can go play
You do
Codenames.
that. Maitre D. God, you're so
I love
clever,
Dice Throne.
Alex. You're so clever. Maitre D. But yeah, no, I love Dice Throne. It's such a satisfying 2-player game. Coming from... I still have King of Tokyo. I have the Dark Edition, which I really
Oh
like.
my gosh, I don't know if I knew that was them. Is that them?
No,
King
I
of
don't know
Tokyo?
what that is.
No,
okay.
no. I was
Okay.
saying I like
Oh.
games that have like the Yahtzee-based
Got you.
dice activation.
Okay.
But Marvel Dice Throne, or just Dice Throne in particular, is my preferred rendition of that or use of that mechanic. It's got just enough that you can kind of strategize and figure out what abilities you want to upgrade. And it's so satisfying when you pull off an ultimate in Dice Throne. You're just like, oh, you can't stop this, can you? Like, there's a third of your health gone. And it's a lot of fun. And all of the different characters from all of the different seasons can all be played against each other, which is the more you have, you know, the more you can play. So I really love Dice Throne.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yep.
Very good one.
That's my 35. 34 for me is something that I know Meg enjoys and I hope is on her list.
What about me?
I don't care about you.
Cool.
It's Final Girl.
Oh.
I really like Final Girl. The theme
That's the video
for that.
I got that comment
Huh?
on.
What?
That's the video I got that comment on today.
Oh, really?
I got a comment on a video today. I just like deleted it. I moved on. I could not care less. The comment was because I thought Final Girl was good. I get a decent rating. I was like, but I had some complaints about like some of the luck and how it's a cascading failure.
Yeah.
And the guy commented on the video saying, the video is kind of okay, but honestly, it came across that you don't like the game. And like, listen, that's just your opinion. That's fine. Like, you're allowed to have an opinion, but like, this review is clearly biased because you don't like the game. And I'm like, I'm not entirely sure if we
how to
understand
respond to that.
what a review is here. Also, I didn't dislike the game. I just didn't love the game. I liked aspects of this, but he's like, you're biased because of your opinion.
Can you tell me like what you think about that
Chip
game
theory
that you
games?
don't like?
Oh.
So like most unbiased reviews you do, you're just like.
I don't have
about the
opinions. Most
like
games
when
I
you
don't
talk
have
about
opinions
Marvel, it's just like it's just facts. You're
All
just
these-
talking about
yeah.
logistical
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
on. All these games right now that we're talking about, I don't have opinions on them actually. I don't even know how to respond. I was like, I could try to respond, but it's not worth the effort right now.
So Final Girl is the massively. Oh man, that's intense. You scare me
I know, I
with
got
weapons.
those.
You scare me with weapons. So it is a solo only dice rolling and like
Card action
game.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun. It's from Van Ryder Games. They're an awesome team. I love all of them. They had a massively successful season 2,
Yes, they did.
which I think with the season 2, I think that was the highest grossing solo only board game Kickstarter. I think.
Congrats.
And
That's
so the like absolutely crazy. The aesthetics of that game are so nice. Like the idea of like that, last standing girl in a horror movie, just like at that one moment where it's whether you win or lose, it's thematic because it's like do you have the ability to like get what it takes to stand up against this like whatever villain it is, whether it's like this supernatural maybe mental threat or whether it's this like physical murderer. And like when you win, it's like you are like crafting this like little mini movie, this little narrative and story, and it feels really good. Games that have cascading failure or games that like you could get deep into and then lose and it doesn't feel great. I don't mind them when they're shorter play times. Like something like Dead of Winter or something like if I'm like 2.5 hours in and then it's like I rolled the tooth die and I died and then I had to kill someone else so that it didn't spread. So then I killed those 2 people and we killed Santa earlier to give our morale back. And it's like when you have cascading failure like that and it takes a lot longer, that does bother me more in terms of like a play experience. But because Final Girl is a lot more brief in terms of like the overall blueprint of how long it takes in your day. Doesn't bother me as much.
I thought it was a solid game. It's a mechanic.
Solidly good.
Solidly good. We done with 30. That's 34.
That's
right?
34 for me.
Meg, what's your 34?
My number 34 is a newer game for me. It's My Father's Work.
Ooh.
That is a very long game. That it has taken quite a bit. It's one that's very puzzly that I want to play more. I haven't gotten to play it nearly enough. But I really enjoy it. You're playing through 3 different generations. There is an app. And it's similar to something like Destiny's where it tracks like different things that happen throughout your story points and then creates a bit of a story for you. But you don't need it during like actual gameplay. It's for like different checkpoints.
Gotcha.
Not as much as Destiny's at all, but it kind of keeps track of things for you like that. But it's a puzzle of you have 3 generations, so you're trying to craft these different spells. I think they're called spells. They're like A, B, and C cards. They're either like potions or spells or something like that. But you're living through 3 generations. So you're, the grandfather or whatever, and then the parents, and then the kids trying to have a masterwork that comes out of it. That I really enjoyed that aspect. And it is like very thinky. It's a lot of building, very puzzly. It's fun.
Nice.
Yeah. You're like building up your estate and you're making these spells. Now that I've played it a few times, I want to play it more because it's one of those ones that I feel you can kind of play it, understand it, and then after playing it a bit, it's like, oh, now I know how deep this well goes. Now I really want to figure it out.
Do you think it's got like a lot of replay to it?
Yeah, to me at least, I enjoy it. Yeah, it is a long game.
It's one that I feel like had a lot of buzz around it when it was announced, and then when people started to get it. I knew that a lot of people were excited about it.
Yeah, my only thing is it is a bit long for what it is.
Which always scares me. The number of 3-hour games I already don't get the table. Yeah. It's like, I want to play that one. I definitely want to play it.
Just saying, while you guys are here, I could teach you Forbidden Stars.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. My number 34 is a very short game, which is one of these I love it. And it's one of the games, like, it's weird for me because, like, usually when I have lighter, shorter games like Codenames or like 34, I'm always, like, instinctively, like, is that a 5
is it
or
like
5?
A card game?
But sometimes it is a deck builder. It's a deck builder racing game.
Similar to Sushi Go Party.
Similar to Sushi Go Party. Actually, it's more of a CCG when I think about it. The Quest for El Dorado, the newest CCG in my collection.
Oh, you spanked me in this game. Oh my goodness.
I love the Quest for El Dorado. Quest for El Dorado is going to be a racing game for Rainer Knizia. And I think it might be one of the few Knizias I have left. He has a lot of great games, but I've moved on from some of them over time.
Sounds like they've all passed away.
It's
one of the few Rainer Knizias
They're
I have
great
left.
games, but a lot of them I find I hold on to for various lengths of time. Some of them go, some of them stay, but this one definitely is still around. The Quest of El Dorado is a deck building racing game, which you have this map, basically this variable map. The grids are the hex tiles that you're going to be placing down, creating a bit of a pattern of how you try to race across the board. And then you have specific cards you're trying to build a deck that are going to be used to traverse different types of terrain. You're going to have wilds, you're going to have abilities, you're going to have terrain cards, you're going to have all these things you're trying to ultimately race towards the finish. Plays in generally, I want to say, around 30 to 45 minutes. With players who know what's going on, who know everything, it could be a very quick 30-minute game.
Did you not recently, because you love this so much,
upgrade to the coolest version of it ever?
Buy the European cover of it?
It's the only game in my collection that I have tracked down the non-English version of it and paid more for it because I thought the art was cooler. The art's from Assent Trait. They got larger cards. The production is just more solid. Also, I got rewarded for that by the fact that they recently announced an expansion. The expansion currently is only in the other language edition. So that's nice as well.
Is there actually any language
language
issue stuff in it?
They have English cards in it.
Okay.
It's just not sold. They have English cards for those cards that have text. It's just not sold locally. But I just like it better. It's cooler. It's cool.
I remember you were giddy when you were like, guys, I've ordered this.
It's exciting. But I love the game. Plays quickly. Deck building. Quest for El Dorado.
Nice. What's your 33?
My 33, which I was totally not prepared for right now.
You're so good at running it. I'm not even sure what number we're on. And you're like, what's your...
My 33 is a game I actually played with you recently. Okay. Wild Assent.
Oh, yeah.
Wild Assent. For me,
I'm a little salty about that,
because you haven't continued it?
Yeah.
Does
we
this
have a lot of games.
I set it up. Alex had me set up the game. Took off. I even took pictures of where it was set up for us to save and replay later. It's been 3 months.
I was busy.
It feels like you definitely haven't thought about this in the interim.
I've been waiting.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
This is one of your favorite camp progression experiences, isn't it?
Wild Assent is a campaign game, but the first thing I love about it is that it's a campaign game that takes 10 missions. So it's very achievable for you to actually play it, move on,
yeah, it's so achievable.
You did walk into that one.
It's very achievable to start it off, play it, and never finish it ever. But it's at 10 campaigns. We're playing through Gloomhaven and Frosthaven now. You and I are playing. Okay. There's a reason we have a problem here. And Oathsworn.
Yep.
And Hoplomachus.
Yep.
And Roleplay Adventures.
Yep.
Do you still want to give me crap?
Yep.
Yep.
Because this is a non-recorded one, so I understand that we can play campaign games for work, but not for fun.
Cool. We'll get to it. Anyways, so the point is...
to be fair, at least you guys are play campaign games with each other.
You look like you're gonna...
Am I...
Beer pong hat?
I can't play with you guys.
So, Wild Assent is...
It looks like dog ears that are sad.
Wild Assent is a skirmish game in which you have 4 seekers. These are called seekers, and you're basically going through the process of going into the wilds.
We won't play again, but
and you're capturing and killing various monsters. Across 10 campaigns, you're going to level up. You're going to level up the buildings, and as you level up the buildings and the encampment, you're going to have more things you can do, but also you're leveling up your character's powers because your characters get more abilities depending on which combination of levels of buildings you have. And so you're going to get more. You're just going to start off feeling a little bit like, okay, there's not a ton of game here, but as you start gathering those abilities, suddenly the game opens up a lot, and the things you can try to do and combine, and flipping over monsters here and poisoning that monster so you can hit them in the back here. It's a very, very satisfying experience. To answer your question, Devon, this is not factor in Levon Rising, which I think was a better version of the game.
Oh, really?
It gave me the same gameplay with a very interactive, enjoyable story, choose your own adventure mode through going in.
Do you think with a shorter 10 mission cycle and all of the different combinations you can do with the buildings and therefore the abilities for your character that it's one that you could pretty easily see yourself, I want to do a 10 run cycle again.
Yes.
I want to do a 10
I don't think I'm going to do a 10 run cycle often, but I think it's the kind of thing where every year I could do a 10 run cycle if I actually finish playing it with Meg apparently. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. I like it a lot. Wild Assent.
Yeah,
nice.
I enjoy that in it you kind of said it, but you can choose to either capture or kill the enemies, and it'll give you different things depending on what you do. So you kind of have choices throughout the board that you can't capture all of them.
Yeah, it's just too hard.
It's hard.
Capturing it's more time, and so you can't do it all.
Yeah, and you have to like spend your actions doing it so that other things will be attacking you. And then the other thing I really like about it is a lot of the movement will change orientation of the figures, and because of that you do different damage and things like that depending on where you're attacking and where you're being attacked. That I like that, and like the line of sight in it, all of those.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
What's your 33?
That's what your number 33 was. Did you do 33 yet?
I haven't done my 33 yet.
What's your 33?
My 33 is a 2-player game from Paolo Mori and PSC Games.
Blitzkrieg.
Nice.
World War II in 20 minutes. I love both of these games, and I do think that sometimes... So, I have played Blitzkrieg more than I've played Caesar. Likewise. I do think potentially over time, Caesar I might like more than Blitzkrieg, and I think part of it is because of the spatial puzzle that we mentioned. But Blitzkrieg itself is still just so solid in experience, and also one thing that no one ever talked to me about, but when I started to do solo games in the last year or so, is I played Blitzkrieg solo, and it's actually got a surprisingly fun solo experience because you're playing against a AI that has an if-then format, and they also have like some different action resolution versus you, and then you're not worrying about another opponent hiding your stuff. You have your stuff face up in front of you, so you're able to kind of like plan a little bit like without the worry of I mean, you definitely have to worry about stuff being manipulated by the enemy, but you don't have to worry about the like person across the table from you. So it does switch up the experience. So even if I end up playing Caesar more, I think like Blitzkrieg is still one that I can fall back on because with the Nippon expansion,
solid,
which adds some fun stuff, and then also the solo. Both of those games are so fun. So Blitzkrieg for me is number 33.
Nice.
What's your 33?
My number 33 is an oldie but a goodie. It's one of the oldest ones. Well, probably not, but one of the oldest ones on my list.
Arkham Horror?
No. Do you want to guess
if
another
all three
oldie?
of them were in one 10 video.
Another oldie but a goodie on Five Tribes.
No. Five Tribes was like my number 102 or 103.
That's
Same publisher?
Ticket to Ride.
Same publisher?
Small World.
Small World.
I can do it, everybody.
Small World by Days of Wonder. I think it's one that I rank higher because of the nostalgia of it. It is one of my most played games, like, across all the years. It's one that when my sister would come and visit for my birthday, I would be like, I really want to play Small World. It's really fun. You're playing as different factions where it's area control. You have these little tokens. Token
stack.
And you...
They're called chits. Officially.
Maybe that's where, it was coming from my brain.
People make fun of me when I say it, so...
Little chits. But yeah, you play as these different races, and they get matched with a power, and then there's also a going in decline part where you get to play as different ones throughout the 10 rounds, and it's just area control, battling it out with these different really fun fantasy type races. It's really fun. Very light-ish.
Yeah. I would say very light. It's definitely light. I wouldn't call it very, very light, but I guess you didn't. You said very light. It's light. It's accessible. It's a gateway.
Yeah,
to me,
that's
I don't
what
know
I
if
was
I told you
looking
this
for,
one. This is the game that got me in the hobby.
I think so.
I played Stone Age. I played the Catan way back in the day. Then I played Stone Age, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. It's another cool game. I like this game. And then 2 months later, I played Small World, and the combination of that 1-2 punch of Stone Age then Small World, I was like, what is this? Why have I never heard of these games? Where are these from, and how can I find more of them? And then I went a little crazy. Very quickly. But Small World stuck around.
Yes, he's solved that problem since.
That's when
he's
went
not
crazy.
crazy anymore.
Well, yes, I did solve that problem. I went crazy and got heavily invested in the hobby and spent more money than I should. And so I was like, what if I make this my job?
But that's when the crazy started.
Never mind. Small World was a great game.
That was a good game.
Really
I know, it's accidental. I just owned it. I was like, what's happened? That was pretty cool. It was unintentional.
Anyway. All right, what's your 32, Alex?
My 32 is... Actually, no, I don't need to look this time. My 32 is a Euro, a heavy Euro that I believe neither of the two of you have played, contrasted with my 31, which is a heavy Euro that I believe both of you have played. My 32 is Le Havre. Le Havre from Uwe Rosenberg. Yeah.
Is 31 brass? All the way down there so low? Oh, it hurts.
Talk about 31 in a minute.
It hurts. I have not played Le Havre.
32 is Le Havre. You played Le Havre?
I have not.
You're not.
haven't either.
Yeah, Le Havre is one of my favorite Uwe Rosenberg games. It just consistently holds up. It's all about the engine you're building. You have these various production things. You're turning this into that. That's the entire game. It's about turn this into that, turn this into that. But build the best engine of how to turn this into that as you go around the harbor, trying to be mindful of having to feed your ships or your people, whatever it is, as you go through it. As you gather resources, the harbor's constantly filling up with more resources. So it has a little bit of worker placement element, and then a lot of just gathering buildings and taking the actions to convert one thing into another as efficiently as possible. The expansions or the card deck will give you a ton of special buildings that mix up the gameplay. So there's always the core buildings, and then there's a few special ones mixed in that completely throw you for a loop as okay, great, well, I know the core engine here, but now I'm applying this core engine to these other special buildings I have to take into account, which keeps the game nicely variable. It is just one of the better... It's very similar to Aura et Labora if you've played either one. Both of them give you just a solid conversion engine as far as how these go. I love Le Havre. Great game, holds up.
Nice.
32 Meg.
My number 32 would have been a crossover last video with both of you.
Mythic Mischief? No. What do we say?
Last video.
What do we have?
Last video. One sec. Cloudspire?
Cloudspire.
Shout out to Chip Theory Games, Cloudspire. We already talked about it. It's a very beautiful game. It is beautifully done for everything that they do. And that's one that we have planned to play co-op. That's the piece that I'm waiting to play, and I think for me it'll rank even higher next year. But I want to play the co-op version, Alex.
I love how these things feel like they're mostly my
I
fault.
do too!
With Devon.
Yes, we should do that.
He learned the rules. That's why I'm harping on him about it.
Well, because we played it competitively way back.
Yeah.
And then I dove into it solo since then. And co-op is most the same as solo. It's a drop different, but it's most the same engine.
Yeah. So solo, competitive I'm interested in. Solo is the one that's I feel like we're more of the puzzle.
I think I like it more solo. Which means
competitive was very fun. I had a great time with it, but I want to try the co-op because you're fighting against...
Correct.
Yeah.
An AI faction slowly marching towards you in different ways while you try to figure out how to use your faction. And I really like the solo. Yeah. And given our proclivity towards solo, I think that co-op is going to be our preferred way of playing.
Should we play it co-op solo? Just play the
solo
mode?
Do you mean vast amounts of infighting?
That would be a faster way to get you up and rolling.
I wonder if we should learn both and then talk about what's better.
That's a good idea. The 3 ways of playing Cloudspire, which we prefer. It's a good video. We should do that.
Yeah.
You guys should do that.
Devin,
you should also play Wild Assent. You should also play it.
Yeah. There's a whole list. We've been watching this now. There's a list.
Too many things, guys.
You're 31, Devin. 32.
My 32 is Lords of Waterdeep, which is one of the games that, to me, ushered me into the hobby. It's one of the games from that time period that I still have. It's one of the few that's stuck around. I played Lords of Waterdeep a lot in person. I haven't played it in person in quite a while. But, I have a broken token organizer for it. I have the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion in it. And I haven't played it a lot in person because I have played a lot of games. I don't know how many, but a ton on the app. So me and some of my family that we get together for Thanksgiving, we would do 5-player games of Lords of Waterdeep, just back to back to back to back to back. I've played so much on the app, and I still have fun with it. It's such a solid worker placement game. It's probably the first one that I can really remember as being my entry into the worker placement genre, and I still love it. To me, Scoundrels of Skullport is an essential expansion. The corruption module that it adds and the extra spaces really give just that extra oomph more that you need to make that a perennial title. But I love Lords of Waterdeep.
It's good. It was one of the first games after I started getting heavily into gaming. That was definitely one of the first ones I got. Stuck around for a very long time. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna jump straight into my 31 because we already know what it is.
I think it is Brass Birmingham. I don't think it's Lancaster because I think after playing both of them,
Lancashire.
Is it not Lancaster?
Nope, that's a different game.
Oh, okay. Brass Lancashire. Lancaster's the Queen Games one, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't think you have it on your top 100 because now that you've played both of them together, I think you came to the same preference.
It's Birmingham.
It's Brass Birmingham. And I do have my top 100 does have the rule that if I don't own you, you're not in there. And I did get rid of Lancashire because they do basically the same thing. Yeah. And I think Brass Birmingham is just a tad better, even though I do miss the ships from Lancashire.
I agree. There's things about Lancashire I like, but I think Birmingham's better.
And they're too similar for me to bother owning both if I wasn't playing them weekly. And I'm not playing it weekly. I play it every 4 or 5 months, which is still pretty decent, honestly. But Brass Birmingham is a phenomenal game. To the
Super
point that
good.
Devon is a little offended that's 31, which I respect that. It's like, I believe, the second highest game currently on Board Game Geek at the moment, so definitely a lot of people agree it's a good game. I also agree it's a good game. It's 31. Give me a minute here. But anyways,
Is it number 2?
It's
number 2 on Board Game Geek. People are... The question
Has it pushed
right now...
up recently?
The current question is, does Gloomhaven maintain number 1? Does Frosthaven take it over? Does Oathsworn eventually get enough availability that it takes it over? Or does Brass Birmingham get the eventual push to knock it up? That's currently the debate right now, is those 4 titles.
I didn't... It must have climbed recently.
It did. It used to be 3.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's currently 2, and it's rising. But either way, Brass Birmingham is a Euro game, a tough Euro, a tight Euro of building up these buildings. And it's a Mark Wallace design. He's an amazing designer. I love almost everything he's done. Don't keep everything he's done, but I love almost everything he's done. Anno 1800, phenomenal game, different conversation. Brass Birmingham is... It's just so good at what it does. What the game does is you're spending 2 cards every single round to build up your network. There's 2 phases of the game, so there is a bit of destruction and rebuilding, which is a mechanic I don't love in games. I don't like when a game kind of makes me tear down, especially with no warning as to how I'm going to tear things down whatsoever. That would be even more frustrating. But when you have that, so tearing things down to rebuild, I don't love it, but I love the game despite that in this. And the way you build up your network, the way you can kind of get a little bit of an edge if you get a few of those level 2 buildings on the board, fast enough. There's multiple pathways to how you try to build up your engine and win. The timing of when you take loans versus when you don't, and what you do. It's a tough and tight and mentally draining Euro game that is just so delightful to play.
I will say, I think my preference for it is 3. I don't... 4 is too long.
I agree.
4 is too much. But
Did we play
Brass
that?
Birmingham's amazing.
We played at 4, and I was disappointed about that.
Yeah.
The last time we played at WSBG, we were actually playing with Gray, who was one of the winners of the World Series of Board Gaming, one of the
Congrats,
tournaments.
Gray.
Actually, 2 of them.
Double ring winner.
But we specifically had this thing where he needed to learn Brass, and we're like, we'll play it with you. And I specifically said when we were talking, and Gray, if you're watching this, it's all cool, it's all chill. But I specifically said, I was like, but I want to make sure we play it at 3 because I'm playing it to like help you and teach you, and 4 is just too many for me. Like I don't like it at 4. I think that's downtime with no benefit.
Yeah.
And then he showed up with another person to play it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't.
At
sign
that
up for
point,
this.
I would have literally just taught and not played.
No. So I like it enough that I.
Yeah, you want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
But it is one of those games where I actively will say I don't want a 4th.
Yeah.
Great, I still love you.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I had a great time with it, but I only played it that one time.
Oh, it's good, and there were still aspects, and that first game still has like it's a game you need to play multiple times to really get the hang of it.
Yeah.
Such a good game. Yeah. What's your 31?
I'm not even sure. Oh, yes, I am. My number
That was
31
quick change.
was referenced earlier during this video. With a
Arkham
slight
Horror,
joke.
the card game.
No, it was a joke that referenced it.
As a joke that Sushi Go party.
Oh, no.
What joke do we have that referenced her in 31?
I'm
Was
trying
it
to
a
think of.
flicking game?
No. Do you want me to let you guys guess? It's not on your list, I don't think.
Devin, you
Wait,
go.
wait,
Devin,
wait,
you do
wait,
31.
wait.
Devin,
I
you do
think-
31. I'm gonna guess.
Okay,
Is it Days of Wonder? Is
No.
it a Days of Wonder title?
No,
No.
Devin, do your 31.
I think you were the one that made the joke.
I was the one that made the
I'm
joke.
gonna think.
Let us know in the comments
I'm gonna
below
spend
what
the whole
game you think
time.
I'm talking about.
Cthulhu Death May Die?
I said I don't think it's on your list.
Devin,
Oh.
do 31.
Is it Scrabble? my
31 is Scrabble.
My 31 is It's a Wonderful World. I
haven't played it.
I have both of them at the house. I really like It's a Wonderful Kingdom, but It's a Wonderful World is one that I think I would get played so much more. I really do enjoy the engine building on it. Alex is just as bothered by me that he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Look at his
I
face
have
the whole
time.
time.
I have time. You have to talk.
So, and I think the reason why It's a Wonderful World is going to stay above is because it's also got expansions to it that are going, like, and when people, to me, when I talk about Lords of Waterdeep with the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion, I haven't played it, but people talk about the Corruption and Ascension expansion for It's a Wonderful World in the same fashion. Have you played with that expansion?
Yes, I have. I think it's essential. But
Yeah.
Like it's literally like 2 sentences of rules.
So
And then
I
that's
haven't
it.
played with it yet, but people say the same thing. Like It's a Wonderful
to-
World with Corruption and Ascension is just like...
To be clear, I don't think it makes the game amazingly better. I think the reason I consider it essential is because it's literally 2 sentences of explanation, and it bumps the game up by a little notch of enjoyment. Like, there's no reason not to have it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it doesn't transform the game into something amazing. It's just
Sure.
a better game. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever sounded more intelligent.
Exactly.
That's what
That's
I
what
said.
you said.
So 31 for me is It's a Wonderful World. And
Did you just have a light bulb go off?
is it Final Girl?
No.
Oh, it's not
I
on
said
your
it's
list.
not on
She
your
said it
list.
7
You
times.
can't stop.
Devin.
No,
She said
guys,
7 times. The
it's
one thing we know is it's
Scrabble.
not on your list.
It's Scrabble.
I don't remember. I looked through. I couldn't think of anything.
I couldn't think of anything.
Do you want me to pepper in some hints?
Yes.
We've played it together.
It's a long list.
Yeah, that's a big list of games.
At my house. No, I'll leave that
Arkham
clue with you. I'll leave that clue
You already
to simmer.
said that.
Yeah.
You
Well,
already
Arkham
said
Horror
that.
did we play together at my house?
We never played Arkham Horror. You're right.
Wait. Arkham Horror, the second edition?
No, we didn't play
It's
that.
not on your... No, I'm just kidding.
I don't have that on my list.
You were the one that I believe made the joke
Okay.
about getting like super far into a game and having something ruin it for you.
Oh.
Like rolling a die.
Oh, Dead of Winter?
Dead of Winter.
Oh, okay.
Yep, by Plaid Hat Games. It's a Crossroads game.
Plaid
I
Hat
love
is like
Dead of
a
Winter.
big
Oh my
publisher
gosh.
for you. You like all their titles.
So, little known fact, I play tested for Plaid Hat back in the day. That I play tested Ashes as they were coming out with that. So they were someone I worked with like way back in the day before I was Professor Meg. But yeah, I absolutely love Dead of Winter, and I have had that happen. It's funny because I haven't had the exposure die kill me that often.
Yeah.
And then I was showing it to a new person, and my very first roll, I died. And then when I showed it to Alex, my very first roll, I died.
Then, before showing it to me, you told me this story as you were going to show me the game, and your very first roll,
the
you
brutal
died.
thing,
Yeah.
I think the thing that would be a little bit better is that with the exposure die, if that happens, you auto kill at least like one other person.
If there's someone at the location. If you're alone going to a location, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yes, but like if anybody else is around, which
Unless it's Sparky.
the colony or
Sparky can't get.
That's fair. Dead of Winter for me is a game that like I desperately want to like keep and not get rid of because I have such a spot for it in my heart from like when I first started playing games, and I think the Crossroads deck is one of the best things in games.
It is pure magic when someone draws a card for you and they're like, okay, who are you? Okay, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then you go to move somewhere and they're like, ba 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 ba, and then something happens.
Yes, it's such a cool,
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic mechanic. Question for you, and this is like because I think you maybe have played it as much or more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the exile thing happen.
The traitor thing?
Yeah.
So
like where you exile them from the colony.
I
never
normally
had
play
it
it
happen.
2-player.
Okay.
So I very rarely have more than 2 people playing it. That even when we played it was 2-player. So I rarely even have the traitor mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's hard enough game without the traitor mechanic.
Right.
It's to me it's the same vein as like Battlestar Galactica. It's already difficult to win.
Yeah. The thing that I love is you have the colony and then you have locations. And it already starts with zombies that spawned absolutely everywhere. And you'll never kill them all. It's like similar to something like Zombicide where you're just trying to figure things out and don't worry about trying to kill them all. And I love that you're overwhelmed from the beginning. And usually with a game like that, I have a lot of anxiety. And with Dead of Winter, I just think it works so well that it feels right that I do love it.
Dead of Winter's
It's tight.
it's got a place in my heart.
Sparky.
And that's our 40 through 31. I'm just catching up. I'm getting there.
Watergate.
Not Watergate. That's our 40 through 31. We'll be back with 3 more videos, one at a time, going through the next 30 through 21. 20, I don't know why I'm saying this. We're going to be back with our next 30 at some point soon.
You literally could have just ended the video.
I could have ended the video.
You could have just said, all right, see you guys
In any case,
time.
and
I'm
until next
Professor
time,
Meg.
I'm Alex.
Bye.
Bye.